Professor Michael Manassian, and I am standing outside the Hemingway house in Key West, Florida, and I'm here today with Linda. And we are here for Eye on Literature. And Linda is a part of the Hemingway House Museum in Key West, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the house. Could you start by talking a little bit about the house itself? I understand it was here before Hemingway bought it.
Yes, the house was actually about 80 years old when the Hemingways bought it in 1931.
Okay, great. And was this his first residence in Key West?
It is the first home he owned in his life. He did come to Key West earlier in 1928 or 29. He was waiting for an automobile to be delivered. He was on his way back from Europe, and the car was supposed to be delivered to Key West. Well, typical of Key West, the car was not here when he arrived. So he was forced to stay for a couple weeks while he waited for the car, and he fell in love with the fishing and the ambiance of Key West.
As many people do.
And so the next year they came back and rented a home for part of the year, as they did the following year, and finally, after renting for several years seasonally, they bought the house in 1931.
And he was married to his second or third wife?
Second wife,
Second wife, Pauline. Right.
And they, while they lived here, had two sons, Patrick and Gregory.
Okay. Did he write many of his novels here?
Actually, about 70% of his work was written during his Key West years.
Really, 70%.
Many of his short stories and several of his books.
And what about other writers? Did he have a lot of guests when he was here?
Yeah, actually, John Dos Passos, Archibald MacLeish, name a couple of them. He had a whole group of friends that used to come down and visit him. He called them the mob.
The mob, right.
And they would come down and hang out and fish. And
what about the other writers in Key West? People like Tennessee Williams and just John Hershey.
Well, there are lots and lots of writers who have in the past lived here and probably do live here now. Of course, the attitude here is sort of live and let live. When Hemingway moved here, he was probably the only writer.
Oh, really?
And most people didn't even know what he did or had never heard of him, which was kind of nice, probably.
Good for him, yeah.
You know, he could be just like anybody else.
Right.
And not nobody bothered him. Tennessee Williams came later.
I did.
Yeah, that was a later. But there
later,
were a lot
another
of
generation. I guess.
Probably, yeah.
Right. I'm trying to think of who else. What other writers?
Well, there's lots of them. There's,
I saw a whole list of writers who had homes here.
Actually, the poet Robert Frost.
Robert Frost, right.
And Wallace
Stevens, yeah, right.
And I mean, it's an endless list.
Did he know Frost? Did Hemingway know Frost?
I don't know.
Do you know if he? We don't know. If he
I don't know which time period Frost.
Right.
Came.
I think maybe he came a little bit later in the 40s.
I'm thinking that too.
Yeah, right.
Because basically Hemingway was the only famous author here, I think, during his time period.
Right.
Or at least during the beginning of it.
Yeah. Right. And at the time, do you know? Did he always come by car, or did he use boat to get from Miami, say? Or?
I believe that back then, they would maybe have taken the train, because I believe the train was finished in, I want to say 1918.
Right.
And then it was destroyed in that hurricane in the 30s.
Right, 1935, I
So
think.
for most of the time he lived here, you would have been able to take the train and perhaps even put your car on the train.
How
He
convenient,
also, he traveled a lot to Cuba using his boat.
Right.
And you could fly to Cuba back then.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, Eye on Literature won't be traveling to Cuba yet. Okay. Well, I think that's really great. Thanks for sharing the information and telling us a little bit about Hemingway and the house.
No problem.
We appreciate it.
I enjoyed meeting you.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed meeting you too, and we really enjoyed our time here at the Hemingway House. And thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.